Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Knowing You Show. I'm Tiffany Cano, and I've been bringing in people from our empathic, sensitive, spiritual, intuitive community, their insights, their expertise, their wisdom, and introduce them to you, you to them. And today I have Marita Rahlenbeck, who is a beautiful soul that is going to teach you today about honoring the divine within your food, within your kitchen, within your tummy. And given that the holidays are coming up this month and next month, I wanted her to come on the show and just talk about how to honor that within you when it comes to eating. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Marita helps the quietly unhappy woman find hope again as she leads with grace and models the everyday sacred. She's an advocate for living a holistic lifestyle, sharing the importance of aligning all you do so as to be fully grounded and fully present so you can easily connect with the divine. Honoring the divine in food is a natural way to find the sacred in the mundane. Her enjoyment of food, cooking, and dining are attributed to her lineage of great cooks and a chef. They are her teachers and inspiration. She naturally uses food as a bridge from our daily chop wood, carry water life, one of a sacred dance. She's also the author of Living with Grace, a story of love and healing, leaving paw prints on your heart. Writing this book was her way to process the loss of her Grace, her beloved cat. This book is a multidimensional look at life, grief, death, and loss, culminating with the journey to grace, taking the reader from fear to the place of authentic grace. Now, she has a Soul of an Empath episode all about her journey with grace and talking about her books. And so that launches the first week of December, so you can catch it there. But today I wanted her to focus specifically on food and being healthy from the inside out and bringing that spiritual into our everyday life. So, welcome.
That was long.
I know. But
I finally get to say hi.
Here you are.
I'm here. I'm ready.
So I know that you have a Nourish You Way Home course, and it sounds really unique. And what's the premise behind it?
Well, we don't know. That's why you asked. A few years ago, I took a 14-day cleanse program, and it radically changed my life. It introduced me to a new way of looking at food and reading labels and preparing food, and even the eating habits that I thought I had really good habits. And turns out they maybe weren't so good. And the results were so profound that I was like, I need to share this with my people. I need to share this in a broader, bigger way. And what happened was I had such profound healing. I'd had pain for so many years, and I couldn't figure out, like, every rock that I opened, I turned over, I could not find the reason.
Was it physical pain, psychological pain?
I had physical pain. Like my eyeballs. Now I have a brain injury, and I don't know, something, it triggered a whole plethora of things. But I had my eyes hurt so bad that I just wanted to, I felt like I wanted to pull them out of the socket just to relieve pain.
Mm-hmm.
But when I took out gluten, 36 hours later, gone. Can't, and I had itchy hands, like my hands itched. Like, what a weird symptom. And just, I mean, I had such weird things and like couldn't find out the cause. This program eliminated 7 different foods for 14 days. That's it. And my life completely did a belly flop. And I felt so good in my body that it drastically impacted my spiritual life, my spiritual practice. And also when you think about the premise of fasting, like this program had, I don't remember, 2 or 3 days of not straight up fasting, but they had a specific beverage that you drank. I think you drank it and then had one light meal or something. But it's like, well, if I'm not cooking, then I have more time to be. Right?
Yeah.
So it just so changed me that I just wanted to share this. And when you feel really good in your body, that you can be better. You can be in that state of being better. And that's what I want for my clients. So can't you tell I just love this stuff?
Yeah.
You know, and a new way of seeing things, in my opinion, is generally creates a positive change, impactful. And again, that's a way that I help my clients, because I can show them things that they hadn't necessarily seen before or considered before, or like, let's go to that curtain and see what's behind there, that kind of thing. So the premise really is to offer this kind of experience to my clients. And it's really just one facet of how I help my clients ultimately achieve a place of, they come to a place of love and peace within themselves. And then life becomes easier. Then they can go on to the next step. Oh, you're muted.
In order to do this, do people have to fast?
No, I don't. No, that was just like my springboard. I don't have that in there. I really, at the course, I can talk about that now if you'd like. But the course covers, where do I have that? Nourishment, like what is nourishment? It's not just about the physical body. We talk about emotional eating, and that's so relevant now with the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just, I am not, like I said before, I'm not a snacker. I have very disciplined, I'm very disciplined in my food. In fact, I've lost weight this pandemic.
Wow.
I've been to where I was about 15 years ago. And it's really just from an increased sense of discipline. But there are times where I'm in my cupboard and I'm like, I want crunchies, but I don't buy crunchies, you know, so I call them crunchies. The chips.
So do you make like kale chips instead?
Oh God, no. It's like, if I'm going to eat a chip, it's going to be good.
I like kale chips.
I know, I've tried them once and it's like, no, I want a chip.
I make pizza flavored kale chips with like tomato sauce and like sun-dried tomatoes and cashews and
That
like
sounds
a
really
garlic
good.
herb. And then I make it and put it on and then dehydrate it.
Wow. All right then. No, I tried and I was like, no. But for me, as infrequently as I eat something like that, it's just like, a friend of mine was saying, but I'm eating so many chips. I'm like, but you're eating this brand and it's clean. You know, I mean, stop beating yourself up.
So what are the clean brands?
Like July, I think it's called July. There's a few brands that don't have the palm oil in it, or the cheap icky oils that are not good for you. That's really what you want to look for. So
Okay.
So we cover nourishment, emotional eating, the importance of buying quality food. We already touched on that, right? The sourcing of the food. I don't know if you're familiar with the whole palm oil thing, but that's not sustainable. And so some people are like, I'm not buying anything that has palm oil in it because of what it does to the
rainforest,
to the planet, and to the are they baboons? I'm not sure.
Orangutans, or
Okay, yeah, something like this, something very sad, so people that, like, you have your boundaries, you have your things that you are wanting to support, and that should filter into what and how you buy, in my opinion, that kind of thing. So
yeah, I started a garden this year, and so I've got an organic garden with vegetables and fruit in the front yard, and I just bought a hydroponic indoor tower that has space for 30 plants, and it's only like 1 foot deep, 2 feet wide, and 5 feet tall. So it's really compact, and it has an app that you connect to your phone. So it has a camera that watches your plants, waters them, gives them light. Yep. And even if you're out of town, you can still be monitoring your greenie babies with that camera and the app.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's no excuse, people.
I know.
There's just no excuse.
I mean, I'm putting it in my kitchen. Couldn't be any fresher than that. Like, from kitchen into the pan or into the bowl,
Right. I had I went in with a friend this year. We bought a share from a CSA, and I went from June and just ended, and she's not sad because she's overwhelmed, but I'm sad because it's so fresh. When I go to my farmer, I picked that this morning at 4 a.m. Okay. So having fresh food and knowing who grew it is really quite, that for me is important. So
yeah. And what other kinds of changes do you help people make with their food selection? And like, are these big changes where they're going to have like brand new habits? I mean, I'm open to it, but I know not everybody is. So if you could kind of speak to that.
Well, my position is always in anything is I basically teach, if you go for radical and you're the all-in kind of person, then that's fine. If I tell you all these things, like when I took this course, I had this grocery list and I didn't know what the hell half the stuff was. So I'm wandering the aisles, like, where does it live in the store? Like, what is this? But I'm that kind of person, like, I was determined to walk out of that store with these things. And that said, like, for instance, someone posted a really, really good recipe online the other day, and I said, switch out the flour, the canola oil, and the soy sauce, and you've got a really good recipe. And her response back was, well, I know the flour and I know the canola oil, but what's with the soy sauce? And I said, well, it's pretty much 100% GMO, just that factor. And for me, with soy, I have very much like brain injury symptoms when I have soy, where I can't remember things. I've got brain fog. It's terrible. And so I've eliminated soy from my diet. And so now if she makes that one switch, like, okay, no more soy sauce, I'm going to buy this instead, that's a win.
Do you substitute it with Bragg?
No, because that's soy.
Or coconut aminos?
Coconut aminos, but Bragg's is soy. It's just like, what's the point of that? That doesn't, that's better, right? If you're going to buy LaChoy soy sauce, or if you're going to buy Bragg's, I'd rather see how you have Bragg's than the other because it's cleaner, but the coconut aminos is the best. So it's good, better, best. So no, I mean, I don't tell you to go like dump everything out of your kitchen. And when I went gluten-free, it had to be radical. And I had like 5 bags of groceries, and my friend goes, "Oh, this is like Christmas," because I gave her all this food. But it's like gluten's in everything. It's just like soy. So
what are your healthy alternatives?
Oh, you froze and I didn't hear you.
I said, what are your healthy alternatives?
To what?
Gluten.
Well, it depends on what form. Like pasta, you can have rice pasta, you can have potato pasta, you can have spaghetti squash. You can have actually grain-free cereal. You can have einkorn, which is there's a debate around that, but I can tolerate einkorn. Oats, you can get a gluten-free oat. There's lots of choices. You just need to know where to look.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I've explored different things, and some taste better than others.
Well,
I even bought a bread maker machine so that I could start making like my own breads, and there are gluten-free recipes that I can make. I'm still trying to create something that I really like, though.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. It's trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I made a tuna hot dish. God, the recipe sounded so good, and it was like, oh my God, this is so awful. It was just this big thing of mush, and it's like, so okay, how can I make this better? And then I made it better. And then I even made it better a third time, but then it was like, yeah, we're deleting this recipe. It's a fail, like it's not worth it. Not when you're buying $5 tuna,
Yeah. And talk to me a little bit more about your course.
Oh, yes, we kind of got off the track of that, didn't we? So we've already kind of talked about nourishment and food and the importance of buying quality food and sourcing and things like that. But we also get into the energetics of it, the importance of, and that goes into sourcing, the vibration of food and how it impacts you, and how that impacts meditation and spiritual practice. And also this is going to sound so crazy to some of you, the awareness around complaining that you have Oreos in your cupboard, but you're not supposed to eat them when you're the one that put them in the grocery cart and paid for them and bought them. And you laugh, but it's like, people, ultimately somehow it got into your house, I mean, I had someone in when I did the course live, and I don't remember the specifics, but there was this conflict between she and her husband, and it's like, that's not something I can help you with. You guys have to have a conversation if you can come home with, whatever it was, Snickers or something, you guys have to deal with your boundaries on that. But anyway, so I even touch on that, like, or like me with the crunchies, that's emotional. That's nothing to do with anything else except whatever, Mm-hmm. So people, watch out tomorrow. Get rid of the crunchies.
Unless it's kale chips.
He's buying.
My biggest complaint about eating healthy is the freaking time it takes to do it.
Well, unless you go the smoothie route,
Yeah.
You can have a very good nutrient dense experience with a well thought out smoothie.
What are your favorite smoothie recipes? Like,
Actually, in the cookbook that we're going to offer our listeners, I have like a basic recipe, but basically you want, in my opinion, you want healthy fats in there because the healthy fats bring you staying power. So, and like if you combine them, then I made a smoothie once. Honest to God, I wasn't hungry for 7 hours. It was really radical. I've never been able to emulate it because I just do it. I just like what's in my house, But yeah, if you do it well, yeah.
Okay, so I'm putting in your recipe, the link to your recipe here so that people can get it. I want the recipes that you have personally in there.
Okay, you froze again, so I didn't hear what you said, honey.
I said that this is the link to pick up the recipes, and I personally want to see what you have for the smoothie recipes.
Okay.
I'm not sure why there's an echo. Can you hear an echo?
I don't.
Is it just me?
I don't hear an echo.
Okay.
And
maybe it's just on my end. An echo when I talk.
Oh.
And I have my headset in too. So, oh well. Technology.
Yeah. I don't hear an echo, so.
Okay. And so talk to me also about the way you work with clients, because I think that from what I gather, you like to do like a deep level mentorship, like doing a deep dive rather than just like surface level stuff.
Right. Well, I meet people, of course, where they're at, but the people that tend to come to me they're ready. Like those of you that are listening, if you're ready to start looking at your grocery cart in a different way, because your grocery cart impacts your cupboard, and your cupboard impacts what's on your on your dining room table. So people know, right? They just know. But my approach in life and my work is very holistic. And I felt for many years that it's just time to stop compartmentalizing yourself and to show up more fully. And I think when we look at the gift within COVID, that's one of them. It has forced us to look at pretty much everything in a more like serious way. It's like, I
think it's a gift.
It is a gift, right? I mean, it is a gift, but we have to stop compartmentalizing ourselves. And the beauty of it is that there are employers out there who always had this thing against working at home for their people because they wanted that control over their time. And now they see how brilliantly it can be. There are downsides, there are downsides too, but you can see how well it works. And now that excuse is off the table, right? So back to your question, that how I go deeper, like food is not just about stopping the hunger. There's so much more that we can go into from that. And that's what you were talking about or asking about, the deeper level. It's not just about I'm hungry, let's eat. Because that's not even pleasurable. When you eat something for the sake of eating something, that's not pleasurable if you really analyze it and feel the feels around that. But food can be used as a catalyst for not only your optimal health, but for clarity of mind, for a spiritual practice, to bring reverence into not only buying the food, but in preparing the food. Like if things have changed with COVID because of how the lines work and all that craziness. But for I'm very aware of who's checking out my food. And if they're grumpy, I just have the intention that, that grumpiness does not go into everything they touch of my food. Right?
Yeah. I haven't been into a grocery store since COVID. Even before that, I shopped online. However, when I have gone into grocery stores, if I see a happy checker and a grumpy checker, even if the Happy Checkers line is longer, I go
Yep,
there.
of course. And that's probably why his whatever line is long.
Longer.
I mean, I want the happy lady, right? I want
Yeah.
that. We just know, we just naturally do that, right?
Hmm.
So it's just like so much bigger than just food. And
And
it's not just about eating and routine, routine self-care. It's also about your whole being.
give us some more examples of how to bring the spiritual into it. Like for me, I pray, namaste my food and honor the divinity within it. I'm as I'm preparing it, I'm having it be an offering to God. As I'm eating it, it's an offering to God. Like,
Mhm.
what does bringing the divine into it look like for you?
Well, I think what you mentioned is excellent, especially given that we're going into a month of gratitude, right? Um, but like I said, having the mindfulness of back to the grocery store, who's touching it, it starts well before that, but let's start there, right? But then
Hmm.
also, okay, um, when you're preparing it, like I'm not kidding, people they want me to cook for them because they know it tastes delicious. And it's like it's a bowl of oatmeal, but it's just because
The sprinkles of love,
oh
that are
yeah,
put into it.
lots of sprinkles with love. It can be the simplest of things, but it's that missing ingredient. You can taste it. There's a restaurant in my city. They have two branches, and there's one that I refuse to go to. It's like you would think it was a franchise because that other one that I won't go to, it the food tastes terrible. There's no presentation. You can tell the dude's a cook and not anything. He's a cook. Like,
Yeah.
give me the ingredients and I'll slap it together. But then at the other branch, it's such an amazing experience. Like the presentation is great, the flavors are great. You'd never know it was the same
Hmm.
label. So all of that, how we prepare the food, our mindset as we prepare it, and then as we sit before it,
Hmm.
it's all important.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed, like being in Italy, how much they love food and
Mhm.
love how, like, the hours that it takes to prepare these homemade dishes. And it is like tangible,
Mhm.
mouth-watering. It can be the exact same ingredients with like person A who doesn't give a S about, you know, what the experience is like for the user. They just are like in it to do it, right? And then
Yeah.
there's the person who loves what they're doing. And that love of it is so like visceral
Yeah.
for the palate. When I go to eat it, I love it.
Well,
So,
and then in Italy, they dine. They dine. I was in Italy back a long time ago, and I met someone in the family that was married into the family, so it's complicated, but he was a Pole. So he was a Polish man visiting his Italian grandmother.
mhm,
And he was our beacon of communication. He didn't
mhm.
speak English, he spoke German. I speak English and German. And we go to this mountaintop for a meal, and I have no idea what I'm in for. I don't know. We were there like 4 hours. It's like, how much more food are we? I had no idea when the last, because he got so exhausted translating, because he'd have to do Italian to Polish in his mind and then Polish to German to talk to me. And he got to the point where it's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, great. I have no idea what's going on, but I'll keep eating. We were there for hours eating, and it was delicious.
I When I led the spiritual retreat in Italy a couple years ago, pre-COVID, um, I like they would take 2 to 3 hours to eat over a meal with like course after course after
Yeah.
course. And of course, they're smaller portions, but it's like a lot of food. I ended up having to, say, as much as I love this, I also need it to be like an hour and a half because otherwise I won't get any course content into my spiritual retreat for people. If we're spending 9 hours a day eating.
That would be my kind of retreat. Like eating would be the course.
There has to be a balance. Well, I mean, I wanted to be able to take them to all these spiritual places, not just eating.
Just because you were dining. You weren't eating, you were dining.
But even at the villa that we were at, the owner of the villa is a world-class chef. And that was one of the reasons why we stayed there. And she was in like an Italian cooking show. And so like food is a big ordeal, right? And even her, I'm like, I love you, and we need it to be an hour and a half. Please, no more 3 hours. And then it still ended up being like 2, but still. Yeah. To the free recipes that I have there on the screen for you, you also have a course that is called Nourish Your Way Home.
Yes.
So talk to me briefly about that before we,
Well, we kind of did touch on that when you asked earlier, but it will go over emotional eating, nourishment, sourcing, all the things that we discussed. I did create what I call a mini bonus course, Design You, Create with Intention. And the premise behind that is really do that first, because you're going to set the intention that you want from the course, like the main kahuna, right?
Yeah.
And it just kind of gets you clear on what it is you want. And then I have some processes in there and that kind of thing. So it's self-paced, lots of really good, very practical information. And I would love to have you take advantage of the opportunity to learn like that and go from there, just start.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show today. I love talking food with you.
Thank you.
and not just food, but like the spiritual components of food. And I think we're aligned on a lot of that desire to bring the spiritual into the everyday, moment to moment activity, including around our food and eating and preparing food and eating food. And
it plays a big role in our life, and it's important, and it deserves the kind of stage that we're presenting here today.
Yes. And so here's one last glance of the free gift. So this is the link to pick up your free gift of 6 easy and quick recipes for your optimal health. And one of those is one of those smoothie recipes that we're talking about. It doesn't take as much time to cook and prepare.
That's super easy.
Yeah. Thank you again. Any final words?
Oh, just be gentle on yourself these next few months as we go into the holidays, and lots of, I think we'll still have a lot of stress around COVID, and that means the grocery stores and things like that. So just plan ahead. If you plan ahead, you won't have to go there very often.
Yeah. Or even using the online apps if you can. I mean, I've used Instacart or Amazon, Whole Foods all year, even pre-COVID. And it takes all the stress out. It also stops me from the impulse buying of, oh, there's some chips on the, on the checkout stand, or there's some, some extra thing that wasn't on my list, but it popped out at me. I don't have that because I'm shopping online.
Yeah. True.
So that's another
True.
easy tip that I like.
Mhm. Wow, wonderful.
I know not everybody can do that, especially if they're in rural parts of America, but if you
Mhm.
can,
Yeah, yeah.
that's one easy way to also keep people employed, who need a
True.
job.
Yeah,
So,
true. Good
all
point.
right. Well, thank you again. Much love and
Thank you,
blessings.
everyone.
Have a wonderful week.
All
Bye for
right.
now.
Goodbye.